When the last box was loaded into the back of my son's car, I stood on the front porch longer than I needed to. I told myself I was just catching my breath. The truth was, I didn't recognize the silence yet. For 32 years, my life had been measured by other people's needs. Lunches packed, permission slips signed, late night phone calls, early mornings, soccer games, college applications, advice they didn't ask for, and reassurance they still needed. And now, suddenly, there was nothing urgent pulling at me. No one calling my name from another room. No one asking what was for dinner. My youngest, Daniel, hugged me tightly before climbing into the driver's seat. "I'll call you when I get there, Mom." "I know," I said, forcing a smile. "Drive safe." He waved, pulled away, and just like that, my driveway was empty. I was 61 years old, divorced for over a decade, and officially an empty nester. I went back inside and closed the door behind me. The house echoed in a way that felt unfamiliar, too big, too quiet, too honest. I walked through the living room, touching the back of the couch, the framed photos on the wall. Little boys with missing teeth. Teenagers pretending not to hug me back. Graduations, Christmas mornings. I had loved fiercely, completely, without reservation. But somewhere along the way, I'd stopped imagining a future that belonged to me. That afternoon, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that went cold while I stared out the window. "What now?" I whispered aloud. The question hung there, unanswered. A week later, my sister called. "You need something to do," she said without preamble. "I have plenty to do," I replied defensively. "I work, I garden, I clean." She snorted. "You hover." "I do not hover." "You reorganized the spice cabinet twice last week." I sighed. "Fine, I might be hovering." "There's a community group starting up on Wednesdays," she said. "Walking club, coffee after." "I don't need a walking club." "You need people," she countered. "And before you say it, no, co-workers don't count." I hesitated. The idea of showing up somewhere alone made my stomach tighten. "I'll think about it," I said. "Thinking is how you ended up talking to your plants," she replied sweetly and hung up. She wasn't wrong. The following Wednesday morning, I found myself standing in my bedroom, staring at my reflection, debating whether to go. I wasn't looking for friends, and I definitely wasn't looking for love. That chapter of my life felt finished. I had loved once, married once, poured everything I had into my family. Romance felt like a young woman's game, and I was tired. But I was also lonely in a way that surprised me. So I grabbed my sneakers. The walking group met at a small park near the river. When I arrived, about a dozen people were gathered near the trail entrance, mostly women, a few men. All ages, though most were around my stage of life. I lingered near my car, considering a quiet exit. "First time?" I turned to see a woman with short silver hair and an easy smile. "Yes," I said. "Is it obvious?" She laughed. "Only because you're still holding your keys like a lifeline." I relaxed a little. "I'm Claire." "Margot," she said. "Come on, we don't bite. We complain about our knees, but that's about it." I joined the group and fell into step as we started walking. That's when I noticed him. He walked a few paces ahead, hands clasped behind his back, posture relaxed but alert. Salt and pepper hair, comfortable sneakers, a quiet presence. He wasn't trying to be charming. He wasn't performing. He simply belonged. At one point, he glanced back and our eyes met. Not a stare, not a smile, just recognition. Something about it made my chest feel lighter. I quickly looked away, annoyed with myself. You're not here for that, I reminded myself. The walk was pleasant, easy conversation, laughter. By the time we returned to the starting point, I felt less like a stranger and more like someone who might come back. As people gathered near the coffee stand, the man from the trail approached. You kept pace well, he said. I smiled politely. Years of chasing kids will do that. He chuckled softly. I'm Michael. Claire. We stood awkwardly for a moment, both holding coffee cups, unsure what came next. Are you new to the group? He asked. Yes, just figuring out what to do with my time now. He nodded slowly. Empty house? Yes, I said, surprised he guessed. Mine's been empty for a while, he said. Takes getting used to. Something in his voice told me he understood more than just the logistics. We talked a bit longer about the trail, the weather. Nothing personal, but when we parted, I felt something unexpected. Anticipation. Over the next few weeks, the walking group became part of my routine, and so did Michael. We didn't arrive together. We didn't leave together. But we always seemed to end up walking side by side. Our conversations deepened slowly. He told me about his teaching career. I told him about raising 2 boys on my own after the divorce. We never spoke about romance, which made it feel safe. One Wednesday, after coffee, he asked, Do you ever miss it? I knew what he meant. Yes, I admitted, but I don't miss who I had to be to keep it. He studied me for a moment. That makes sense. That night, lying in bed, I thought about his words and how I hadn't felt pressure around him. No expectations, no performance, just presence. If this story feels familiar, if you've ever reached a season where the house grew quiet and you wondered what comes next, this channel is for you. Subscribe for more gentle romance stories about love, connection, and second chances later in life. One Saturday morning, Michael mentioned a local art fair. I was thinking of going, he said casually. No pressure. I hesitated. Going somewhere together felt like a line. But then I thought about how tired I was of avoiding lines. I'd like that, I said. The art fair was small. Handmade pottery, paintings, local musicians playing softly in the background. We wandered without a schedule, stopping when something caught our attention. At one booth, Michael picked up a ceramic bowl and smiled. My daughter used to make these in high school, he said. She said it was therapeutic. Where is she now? I asked. Across the country, married, busy, he paused. Happy, though. There was a wistfulness there. She still calls, he added quickly. Just not like before. I nodded. They're supposed to grow up. Doesn't mean we're supposed to disappear, he said quietly. That sentence stayed with me. Later, we sat on a bench eating warm pastries, watching people stroll by. I didn't expect this stage of life to feel so unstructured, I admitted. Michael smiled. I think it's the first time we get to choose without anyone watching. The thought startled me. Choose what? Choose who? It was a month before he held my hand. We were walking back to our cars after a late afternoon stroll when the wind picked up suddenly. He reached out instinctively, fingers brushing mine. Then he paused. Is this okay? He asked. The respect in his voice made my eyes sting. Yes, I said. He took my hand gently. It felt warm, familiar, safe. That night, I cried in my bathroom, not from sadness, but from release. I hadn't realized how tightly I'd been holding myself together. Our connection remained gentle, intentional, no labels. Until one evening, my sister visited and noticed the change. You're lighter, she said. I'm walking more, I replied. She raised an eyebrow. Uh-huh. And his name? I sighed. Michael. She smiled knowingly. About time. I wasn't sure she was right, because part of me was afraid. Afraid that if I wanted this too much, it could disappear. Afraid that love at this age still came with loss attached. One afternoon, Michael seemed distracted during our walk. Everything okay? I asked. He hesitated. My daughter called this morning. And? She's moving back, he said, with her family, temporarily. I smiled. That's good, isn't it? Yes, he said slowly. It just changes things. I didn't ask how, but later that night, doubt crept in. What if this was temporary comfort? What if we were just filling space? The following week, Michael didn't show up to the walk. I told myself not to read into it. But the week after that, he wasn't there either. When I finally saw him again, he looked tired. I should have called, he said immediately. It's okay, I replied, though my voice wavered. My daughter needs help right now, he explained. I didn't want to bring chaos into something peaceful. Something peaceful. Was that us? I understand, I said. Family comes first. He nodded, relief crossing his face. Thank you. But as he walked away that day, I wondered if understanding meant letting go. That night, I stood in my kitchen, staring at my phone. I wanted to ask where this was going. I wanted reassurance. But instead, I asked myself a harder question. Was I willing to risk heartbreak for companionship? The answer surprised me. Yes. The next Wednesday, I arrived early. Michael was already there. He looked up when he saw me. I was hoping you'd come, he said. I was hoping you'd be here, I replied. We walked in silence for a while. Then he stopped. I don't want this to end quietly because we're afraid, he said. I don't need promises. I just need honesty. My heart pounded. I'm scared, I admitted, but I'm also tired of pretending I don't want more. He smiled softly. Me too. He took my hand again. This time, it felt like a beginning. But life has a way of testing beginnings. 2 weeks later, Michael told me he might need to relocate temporarily to help his daughter. It could be months, he said. I don't want to hurt you. I swallowed. I don't want to be another thing you sacrifice, I said. He looked at me intently. You wouldn't be. You'd be something I carry with me. We stood there, suspended between possibility and uncertainty, neither of us knowing what would happen next, only that something real had already begun. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The house was still quiet, but it no longer felt empty. because love hadn't found me when I was searching. It found me when I finally made room. I didn't know if Michael would stay. I didn't know if distance would change us. But for the first time since my children had grown and gone, I knew this. My life wasn't over. It was opening, and love had arrived right on time.